you guys enjoyed the event. Tune in to the Fightlete Report show.
All right, thank you everybody for joining us on the most action-packed 2 hours on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. Latina Epicina.
Hey,
My name is Motaz Oscar, and shout out to the Fightlete Report.
But you're able to still, have the gym open to a certain degree, have some, private sessions and stuff, right?
Yeah, I got a private gym, so that helps. But
yes.
It's because there's a lot of other business that's run out of the building that my gym's at. I've been pretty courteous as far as not going in there as much as I normally would, or bring a lot of people. Just like I got Chito Vera obviously fighting next Saturday, so I've been bringing him in there a little bit just to use a cage because it's the same size cage as the octagon, and so but it's very, very limited, very minimal amount of people
right
there.
Definitely. Well, I'm going to introduce you on the show, and right now we talk to the head coach of his own gym, RVCA, Jason Parillo, on the Fight Report, and talking about what he's been up to during the pandemic, thoughts on the return of the UFC. Your fighters, of course, Marlon, Chito, Chico Vera. We got RDA. And, of course, you're one of the best boxing coaches, minds in MMA today. I mean, you were doing it before most got their feet wet, right? I mean, there's a lot of coaches now, obviously they're about 10 years younger than you, but before they got started, they were looking at you.
I'm the old man now. I'm an old man now in the world.
I didn't mean it that way, but.
No, I don't mind a bit. Matter of fact, in my opinion, I think that's when coaches, I think mid-40s, to the mid-50s, I think is when a coach is really at his prime and his peak, in all honesty. I mean, I really think that's when, all the years of experience start to, should come into play. You look at the world of boxing, a young coach is 50 years old. So, it's, there's exceptions, obviously, but yeah. But thank you, I guess. I'm an old dog, but I'm still plugging away.
Yeah, and of course you've coached Cyborg before, Michael Bisping, to very key, championship victories in the past, and so we'll get to hear your mind about them and other fighters as well. And we welcome you back because I feel like with everything going on, you and many others in the MMA community, you guys adapt to this. Like you guys, still find a way to get your workouts in. You have to. It's in your DNA.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what fighters do. I say it time and time again. The guys that, the guys that want the most, the guys that want it the most are going to be getting it done regardless, whether there's anybody around or, everybody around. If there's, they'll do it in their backyard if they have to, So.
Right. Definitely. So, like during this pandemic, we talked about your gym, RVCA. Obviously, it's closed to the public at this time, but prior it was kept private to a certain degree, and so, right? But
it's pretty much always closed off to the public, So
okay.
it's not like it's a private gym. Obviously, it's a RVC Aruca headquarters is what it is. Obviously, there's a lot of other business being run out of the place, because there's a lot of departments in the Ruka brand.
Right.
It's a lifestyle brand, so you got surfing, you got skating, you got art, graffiti art. You got a lot of different. There's a lot of moving parts going on at Ruka. So, but fortunately, I have my gym in the back of the warehouse. I got the biggest office in the building. I'll tell you that much.
Awesome.
But, But yeah, we've closed it off, to even, and I have a couple other trainers that come in there and train guys, and it's been closed off to pretty much everybody. Obviously, if I have a big fight coming up, next weekend, so I'll go in there with my guy and a couple guys and just get the work that we need to get in.
What was it? Why did you make the decision to make it private? Because, most MMA gyms, like I've been to Rufus Sport, you can just walk right in from the public, talk to someone there. sign up for classes, or they're open for like the media as well.
What gym did you say?
Like Roofer Sport, like most gyms in general, they're open for the media and for patrons to come in and sign up for classes. What was behind making a decision to get private?
Ultimately, that's the most lucrative way to go about it. I mean, for me as a coach, I'm obviously hindered in a financial fashion. I mean, ultimately, most gym owners and even the mainstream, the higher echelon coaches of the sport, they have their own gyms, and it's a public gym, and they generate proper business out of it. Ultimately, that would make that actually is a smart way to go. It just
right
when we opened it up. When it was built out, when RVCA Sport started, and it was built out for when I was working with BJ Penn back in around 2010, 2009, wow. 2010. And it was built specifically for, because I had been training BJ out in Hawaii, and we decided to come out here to California where I live. And Pat Snorri, the founder of RVCA, said, you know what, let's build something in the back of RVCA, in the back of the headquarters of so we built it back there. The gym for the Kenny Florian fight was the first fight that we built the gym for. Mm-hmm. And when he was defending his title against Kenny Florian. And, it just, when the gym got built, I mean, we obviously right at the time, it's being opened up in another business. Like I said, there's a lot of other moving parts going on at RVCA. You got the surf industry, you got the skate industry, yeah. You got the art industry, so it's a technically a corporate headquarters, is what it is. So to actually run another business out of there, wasn't going to make sense. So, we just, it got built, it became my gym, and we just kept it private, and it was kind of nice to have it is nice to have for the fighters. Fighters can come in there. You don't have to worry about people coming and going from classes and asking for and that's all right. Not that bothers anybody to get pictures and do all that stuff, but you can really focus on the task at hand, and that's getting ready for a fight. That's always been kind of, that was my goal for a long period of time as well. I mean, I do train other people. I do train people and help them out, for fitness as far as getting in shape, using the box and workout and whatnot. But, it was nice to, I could focus on my fighters really for the most part at that gym. Like I said, it's not that, the question you're asking is correct. At the same time, it does make, as a human, especially when you go through pandemics, like it is, to the situation like that, it's nice to have financial income coming outside of just the fight world, because the fight world is the most lucrative business in the world now, is it?
Yeah. So no one can really go. The public really can't come there. They have to know you, or be kind of like a reference.
Yeah. There's got to be some type of connection.
Yeah.
Is how it's kind of worked out over the years. It's kind of an invite only type of type of situation. Which and I'm sure at some point I'll open up when I slow down a little bit more, I'll even open up a public gym, which doesn't seem to make sense, but I will definitely do it. Just I'm not the businessman type, but as a businessman, I do have to look out for my best interest at the same time, and and I enjoy it. I enjoy training all shapes and sizes, so it's not like sometimes you like to step aside of the fight world for a little bit, and
sure,
and breathe, because the fight world's a constant rat race. You know what I mean?
Definitely. And so talk about the return of the UFC finally. It seems like it's been forever. And you feel like it's necessary for the sport of MMA to return at this time? I mean, quote unquote, essential business, it could be put under there?
Well, I think sports in general, I think some type of entertainment and some type of normalcy, is a good thing. Going to make or break whether MMA continues. I don't think so. I think MMA is really, has anchored themselves in the world, and I think MMA is here to stay. And obviously UFC is a very, very big part of that. I think it's been, the major contributor actually to the world of MMA as far as making it a mainstream sport, so, and I think it's here, at the same time, I really respect the fact. I respect the fact that Dana White's pushing the envelope and pushing the agenda to make sure that there's fights are continuing. So fighters, and managers, matchmakers, all the people in the business of the fight world, still have can generate some type of money. But also, there's a lot of different, there's a lot of different opinions about this coronavirus. You got to remember. So it's not like not everybody's a believer in staying home and doing nothing and believing that it's the only way that this thing is going to die. Not everybody believes that. Actually, the more time goes on, the more people are believing the opposite. You know what I mean? So, for us to let everything just go to a side and to let everything just fall apart doesn't make sense. And then people talk about numbers, and people talk about science, and people talk about all this shit, but then let's talk about that. If you talk about that, again, it doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense to shut everything down. It doesn't make sense to shut the world down, to shut entertainment down, to shut sports down in general. But let alone the UFC has pulled it off one time before where they've had the fights with no audience. And, it was what it was. It's a little bit of a weird environment. I'm sure I wasn't there. One of my fighters, Michael Bisping, was an announcer for was a fight that did it. He said it was a strange thing not having a crowd, but God bless the UFC for pushing the envelope and continuing to try to make it happen. And it sounds like it's going to happen tonight.
Yeah, and continuing to happen as well, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, well, I got a fighter. I'm going to be out there next Saturday I got Chito Vera fighting next Saturday in Jacksonville because they're going to have 3 fights out there this week now, aren't they?
Right. And how you feel about that? Do you feel like UFC is taking the necessary precautions? Do you and your team feel safe?
I feel safe. I feel safe. I feel safe as fuck. I feel safe whether I'm going to UFC or wherever.
All right.
Look at Sean. This is me me personally, and you can tell me to go fuck myself all you want. Me personally, from the very get-go, from the very start of this, I never saw any reason whatsoever to shut down the world. I'm an idiot. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I just know from watching all of 2019, the whole entire year of 2019, I spent helping taking care of my mother who was dying of cancer, and I'm not looking for sympathy for that. I just watched a real disease, a real virus, not that this is not a real thing, but I dealt with it. Cancer kills millions and millions of fucking people. And it's a horrible, horrible, horrible way to die. And watching a human being go, the last 9 months of her life, a human being being your mother, the person that you love as much as anybody on the planet, and then go through a suffering. She died of esophageal cancer, which is a horrible way to die. She didn't eat, didn't drink a drop of water for the last 9 months of her life. She sat there and gasped for air, breathing, gasping for air to death. And again, I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm looking for, when this virus hit, I went, wait a minute. I even put up on social media. My mother, after she just got blood and water and fluid drained out of her lungs, and I mean, going through a really tragic, traumatic, fucking horrible experience, for her loved ones and her kids around him to watch this, and okay, let me see. And I'm not looking for people to show me that they're dead. I put a video of my mother up on my Instagram and on my Facebook. I said, look, this is what I just witnessed for the entire year of 2019. It was a day-to-day process. I spent weeks and not months in the hospital. I spent months on the phone with doctors, with the insurances, down at her house. I spent a whole year on this project. That was my fighting of 2019. And I don't mean to go long-winded on this. I just think that it's a very valid point. It is very valid to understand that this virus that I said, I'm not asking to see people dying. I put a video of my mother dying. But I said, I'm not asking that. But just in good faith, and just to let you know, I'm not being a cynical cocksucker. But look, this is what I just witnessed for the whole year of my life. Okay, so show me what we're dealing with. I think a lot more people are going to learn through visual. I'm a teacher. I'm a coach. The way I train, the way I teach is, a lot of times I will show you something which I think registers a lot better than me telling you about something. So what I'm saying here is this: is show me something, and I still yet haven't seen. Nobody's shown me anything yet. And there's a lot of hypocrisy. There's a lot of people call it conspiracy theory shit and this and that. But go fuck yourself. There's a lot of truth there. There's a lot of contradiction towards this virus, and I felt it right from the get-go. All right, and I'm no rocket scientist. Again, I'm no fucking genius. I ain't the fucking brightest guy in the room, but I go off my life experience. I go off of what I see, what I know, and what's going on with this virus is a fucking shame. It really is. Is it out there and could it kill people? Or people vulnerable? Sure. But we got to continue to go live our motherfucking lives. Because again, if my mother was alive today, she'd be a very high risk person. I got diagnosed with COPD 5 months ago. I technically be a high dose, high registered fucking. I have no concern, no care, no worry about it whatsoever. Am I brave? I'm not saying I'm brave. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with show me. Show me what the fuck's going on. I live in a county. I still don't know anybody that. The only person I know that has a virus is Jacare Souza.
Right.
But I mean, are there people that tell me that they know people? Sure, but it's really, and a lot of people making money off of this situation. It's just such a clusterfuck, Sean. And I don't mean to go on an over tangent about it, but it's a real clusterfuck. It really is. And there's two sides of the story. Unfortunately, the mainstream media are so hyped about it and feed you the fear porn about it, and people love it. And there's a lot of people that make more money off unemployment than they do working, so they want to ride it out as long as they can. There's people that are making money off of the whole pandemic itself. So it's a master manipulation by the government and by the fucking mainstream media, and it's a fucking shame. I got some of my closest friends, we haven't talked in fucking weeks into months because they have a totally different view about this. When they hear me talk about it like I'm talking about it now, they don't like me very much, and they think I'm an insensitive prick, and I said, no, I'm not an insensitive prick, and no, it's not that I'm a moron, and I don't believe that this virus exists. It's just that I go off of what I see. I see it time and time again, and I've seen a lot of bullshit as far as going down different rabbit holes with this whole fucking situation. And I see a lot of truths out there that seem very true and very believable that nobody wants to believe. So it's a catch-22. It's a really tough spot, But at the end of the day, I God bless. I commend and I clap for fucking Dana White and the UFC for fucking pushing the envelope and making these fights happen. Because God bless them. God bless anybody that's trying to get their business going again. God fucking bless them. All right, and that's the way I look at it.
Definitely, man, and I'm with you on that. I was surprised that some media members were questioning this and criticizing this. I mean, this is your work. Don't you want it to suffice? You know what I mean? Don't you want it to thrive?
It's probably not their main action.
Right.
And they'll do it for political reasons and stuff. You got to remember, a lot of media people, they like to. I mean, they're going to play ball. A lot of media people are going to play, even in the MMA world media. They're going to play. Media people don't become media because they just want to report the fucking truth. A lot of times out there, you know what I mean. And a lot of times media people want to be media people to fucking. They want their face on camera as much as the stars. You know what I mean? So it's a funny situation. It's a funny situation, and it's not about media people. It's about people in general. People in general have to. Again, it's a master manipulation. We all are getting big dicks dug deep in our ears and mind fucked right now. All of us, because we're all arguing with each other. We all have an opinion about this, and roughly it's two different opinions, but there's plenty of rabbit holes that you can go down on both sides, so it makes it a really, again, a master manipulation, and we're all dealing with it, but I think people do need to work, and people need to go out there, and when we talk about immune system, I'm not going to go on a tangent about this, but I know since I was a little kid, I learned a whole different concept about the immune system. I think we all did. And I think that, sitting there and over sanitizing and over washing your hands and hiding your face and hiding inside and staying under, we all know, our mothers told us when we were fucking kids that that's not the way you build your immune system. So at the end of the day, and our mothers the smartest people in the world, but it's been passed on generations and generations. And let me say this one last thing about this whole situation. Fuck these doctors that won't fucking step the fuck up and talk about it. Because there's a lot of doctors, and unfortunately, maybe they don't have the personality and the social skills, to go out and speak their minds about what's going on. But the majority of doctors, and I have doctor friends, high-level doctor friends, lung specialists, the whole 9 yards, that are, this is bullshit, Jay. This is bullshit, and this is a propaganda, and this is a move by the government. You can tell me all you want. Tell the fucking world that, because you got a lot of people ruining their fucking lives, scared to fucking death over this whole situation. Mm-hmm. But it's neither here nor there. I didn't mean to go on that much of a tangent about that.
Fine.
But
I love it.
I'm passionate about it because it's bullshit. It's sad. And people go tell me to go fuck myself. I don't care. I've seen people die. Seen the mother of my own mother fucking die and suffer to death. So it's not like I'm insensitive to people dying and gasping to breath, gasping to die. And it's not like I don't have, my own worries or my own fears or my own concerns for my own healthy or my kids healthy. But again, I think I just think different, and I believe it's called common sense. And you know what they say about common sense.
Yes. Well, appreciate that. And, Jason, definitely some great points you made there. Let's get back to the fight. So talk about Marlon Vera, having him on your team, and how excited are you for this upcoming fight?
Yeah, I'm extremely excited. I mean, Chito's been training hard. I mean, he's been training. This almost was a third fight that fell out for him because he's been, been plugged away. He was supposed to fight on the first initial Tony and Justin fight, and then that kind of fell through. So, he's been plugging away. He's a great kid. He's a smart fighter, and he's got a lot of ability. I definitely got high hopes for Chito. Obviously, I helped him out with he's got other guys that are helping him out as well. That he's been with for a lot of years. But I like Chito, and I think he's got all the ability in the world to do great things in the sport. And he's got a real tough opponent with Song. The kid fighting out of China, he looks like a very very strong, upcoming, talented kid as well. So, you can expect a pretty good fight with that one.
Definitely. I'm sure you guys are doing all you can to get him ready for that one. It should be exciting to see, obviously the fruits of your labor. Now, where do you feel like RDA is going to fit in his division, next? Like, where do you feel he's going to go? I know he's got a couple losses. Last fight was, a loss to Michael Bisping, who's obviously, one of those guys that's rising. But I don't feel like, RDA is at a gatekeeper status or at all. I think he's still a reputable name in the sport of MMA. So where do you feel he goes next?
I say it time and time again. Don't sleep on RDA. RDA is a motherfucking beast, man. He's a special kind of guy, man. He's a true fighter. He's as hungry as Chito Vera. You know what I mean? Meaning he's as hungry a guy than a guy is in his 20s. He's had some very tough matchups, and he's kind of in a tough spot. He's been continuing to grow into 170, but grew out of 155. So his physical stature has always kind of been a little bit of a task at hand. But he's a guy that that's going to still got some great things to do in MMA. He's fallen short, and he's fallen short in a handful of grinding fights where he's not getting beat up. The guys are squeaking decisions by on him, and a lot of times I think it's a size issue. You got a little bit of a bigger guy that keeps laying on him and weighing him down. But, me and him were just talking last week. We're going, okay, there's fights coming up, he's going to be ready anytime. So if they come to him with an opponent, at any notice, Hoff is going to be ready. He'll be ready to go, and I'm really looking forward to him getting back in there. I know he's looking forward to get back in there. And, like I said, he's as hungry as anybody. And, he is a veteran of the sport. He's an ex-world champion. He's got, over 40 fights, so he's been fighting for a very long time. But, to see the way he reacts to the gym, his reflexes, and he's still sharp as a tack. He's got everything firing. And what's most importantly firing is his mind, and it is his desire to do it. Because if his desire wasn't there, then, it would be a tough conversation talking about him, talking about his future and talking about what he's going to do next. But, he's as righteous as anybody out there in the sport right now. And he has all the ability and all the experience to still make a lot of noise in the sport.
Yeah, definitely. But anybody out there that you'd like to see him matched up against? Like, I know it's completely out of your hands, but
it completely is. But dream match wise for me at 170, I would like to see a rematch with Colby Covington.
Okay.
Any of those top 5 guys at 170, and also, if it was ultimately my way, and I could make it happen, I would make an easier cut to 155 and have him go down there and clean some of those guys out, because I still think that, he I don't know where he was at, because I wasn't with him at the end of his 155 career, and I don't know what type of nutrition he was. I don't know what kind of work was going on leading up to that point, but I know that what was hurting him and making it tough for him was the weight cutting, and I think that's how he was even hurt. Like, I think Eddie Alvarez that hurt him in the chin. I think that was more of a weight cut factor as opposed to RDA takes a good shot. You see him at 170, he's getting hit by guys like Robbie Lawler, guys like all these guys, Usman, fucking, all these big monsters, and he's not even wobbling by that, so it goes to show it's not a chin thing. It was a weight cutting thing, in my opinion, but ultimately it would be nice. If he could do it healthy, it'd be fun to see him to go down to 155 and make some noise there as well. But again, he can go any direction he wants. He's a hungry guy with more experience than all of us.
Also, you had Brian T. City Ortega. He helped Chito out at the gym, right? You brought him in.
He came last night.
Yeah, how raw of a talent is he? And when do you anticipate he'll be making his long-awaited return? Because obviously he hasn't fought since the end of 2018, I believe.
Yeah, I think, is that what it was? Yeah. What fight? Where was that at? Where was that fight at?
It was in Toronto, I believe. Okay. It was in Canada.
Was that the Max Holloway fight?
It was the Max Holloway fight. Yeah, that was just such a fantastic main event. Oh, yeah. So that's an exciting fighter for us to return. So, I don't know if you probably actually asked him about that, but when do you think he'll return?
I didn't ask him about it, but the kid was in shape. And he told me he's been training hard, and he looked good. Like you said, he's a talented kid. I think the guy's right. By look at him in the gym yesterday, he looks like he's ready to go whenever they're willing to push for him to go. I don't know what's going on with his team. I don't know what goes on with his mentor. I have not got that close to Brian Ortega as of yet. But he's a good kid. I really truly like him a lot, and I do think he's got a lot of ability and a lot of talent. So I'm just looking forward to, like you are, to myself, to see what happens with him. I reached out to him. I have, we know each other, so I reached out to him. That I know Chito's fighting a pretty big puncher and a guy with some decent boxing. So I asked Brian to come down and give us some work and help us out a little bit. So that was nice and kind of him to do. But I feel like the guy's ready to go whenever they want to put him in there. He seems like he's kind of a marquee fighter, kind of a higher profile fight. So they're probably looking for the right match to put him in there to to headline or co-headline a card. So, we'll see. Well, I'm sure they got a lot of work to do as far as making matches and putting some cards together. I'm sure they got a lot of people chomping at the bit to fight, and a lot of people that are pretending like they're chomping at the bit to fight. Because I think, you know what I mean? I think there's a lot of bullshit out there because they got the ultimate excuse right now. This lockdown, this quarantine can give them excuse to say that they're not ready. And I feel like a guy like Brian Ortega, like I said, by the way he looked and the way he was responding in the gym yesterday, he's a guy that has been taking it serious and he's getting ready to fight. So when the doors open, or he gets the opportunity because the UFC's opening the door for people, I think he'll be ready to go.
Yeah, definitely. And we also know Conor McGregor is looking at the fights tonight. He wants to determine if everything goes well, would he come back?
What do you mean that he's looking at him?
Well, he's paying attention to the fights. He's paying attention to everything going on. So he wants to see how the process works, how the precautions work before he would make a decision to come back.
Oh, lucky us that he's taking that. Lucky for us that he's doing that. God bless him.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
That was just an add-on to what you're saying.
I respect Conor McGregor, and I think he's very, very talented, and I like him. I've met him, and he's a great, and his manager's a great friend of mine, Audiatar. So God bless him. I always wish the best for him, and I always root for him when he fights as well. But I don't ever look at a one fighter. I'm not the type of guy. I've been doing this too long to look at one guy like that and go, oh, like I'm not a fan. Okay, see if I can say this with the most politically correct way. It's not that I'm not a fan. I don't know how to say this without offending somebody, but it's like this. It's not up to Conor McGregor to keep this sport going. It's not up to Conor McGregor to fucking be the guy watching going to everybody. Every fighter's out there watching to evaluate what's going to happen and how this is going to turn out. Everyone, not just Conor McGregor, everybody. If we count on one man to the sport, we're all fucked. You know what I mean? So if we sit there and go, oh God, what is Conor going to say about that? We're fucked. Well, why waiting for one fucking guy? We got hundreds of guys and thousands of guys in this sport. You know what I mean? So let's not get all of our minds wrapped around one guy. That doesn't do any of us good. You as a journalist, me as a coach, managers as managers, fighters as fighters, promoters as promoters. Everybody in the game of MMA, everybody in the sport. It's like, if everybody just sat around and waiting to see what LeBron James was going to say about basketball, that's not realistically. There's too many athletes going on. There's too many people. And after Conor McGregor retires, which is going to happen, time doesn't wait for anybody, my friend. Mm-hmm. It waits for nobody.
Yes.
It chews everybody up and spits them out. When he's all said and done and he's gone, we're going to have a new Conor McGregor, and we're going to have Conor McGregors and Anderson Silvas and Michael Bispings and BJ Penns and Rafael dos Anjoses and all these people for the rest of our lives, as long as this sport continues to go. But is that who I want Conor McGregor to sit there and want to fight? Rafael dos Anjos. That's what I want him to watch closely and say, you know what? I'm going to fight Rafael dos Anjos at 160 because I don't like to make 155 either. And I'm a little too small for 170. So maybe I'll just make a catch weight for RDA because we were supposed to fight before. And let's do it at 160. You know what I mean? That would be a fun matchup and a dream matchup as well. But now again, he's watching closely. Good. We're all going to be watching closely. Right. And it's again, God bless Conor McGregor. I think he's a talented guy. Again, I like him and I root for him, but I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck who's sitting around watching and assessing whether they're going to do it or not.
Yeah.
I think every fighter is. I don't mean to go on a roundabout.
No, it's fine.
Answer that question. It's just I have too much. I got too much salt in my blood to fucking sit there and go, and answer you with a fake answer. I can't give you that's very interesting. I wonder what Conor's thinking. Because it's stupid. It's stupid to me to fucking. I don't put one man above any other men. You know what I mean? I just don't do that. It doesn't make sense. Is he the most popular? As a popularity contest, he's definitely up there as one of the most popular guys out there in the game. but he's not going to make or break all of us in the sport. We need to all everybody's got to be accounted for, and everybody's got to everybody's got to be a star in their own right.
Yeah, it makes total sense. It's just when you were saying about people who say they're ready, that's what I thought about that.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, I think he's the type of guy that he knows how much pressure he's put on himself before, so he definitely needs to stay ready. If he's, and I think he's a smart guy, and I think when you're a smart guy, you better stay ready, and you better stay at least ahead of what people think. You know what I mean? So, you can play a little fucking possum and act like you're not in the position or in the shape that you want to be, but you better be a little bit more than you're coming off. You know what I mean? So, he's probably playing out. Yeah, for me, Conor McGregor would prefer to fight in front of a crowd. I think that the UFC in itself would prefer to him fight in front of a crowd.
Yeah.
And I think, it helps UFC. It does help the promotion that they keep Conor McGregor's name in the loop, but ultimately, I think he's going to, come in the lights when it's, when the crowd of people are there again, but let's see. It depends on it depends on what type of governors are going to let that happen or not.
Yeah, I know, but we all know the pay-per-view number would be astronomical, so maybe it's worth having him in an empty venue.
Sure. Yeah. Of course it would be. I think the pay-per-view numbers tonight are going to be pretty big for fucking. Would I think they're going to be would be the same number if it was 6 months ago? No, I don't think it. I don't think But is it a great card? Yes, but I don't think it. I think the numbers are going to be definitely blown up even more due to the fact that there's no other sporting event going on. There's nothing else going on. There's no other type of entertainment outside. Everybody's sitting on their couch watching the fucking news going, oh my God, I need a fucking new mask. You know what I mean? That's the only thing everybody's watching, so it's going to be nice. And sure, with Conor's numbers are big regardless, whether this fucking quarantine shit's going on or not. So like I said, he's definitely the most popular kid in school, so it is what it is.
Any thoughts about Mike Tyson? We saw him training with Rafael Cordero. I'm sure you saw the video that went viral. And then he announced bare knuckle fighting championship. Him and Shannon Briggs is in the works. It hasn't been signed officially yet, but
God bless him. I mean, bare knuckles a little injured. I don't know why they don't just box. But I guess it's because the promotion of bare knuckles offering that type of money, $20 million, I think is what it was.
Wow.
It's funny because I think a few weeks before that video even came out, somebody asked me if Mike Tyson was going to fight again. That was a fight I could see happening, him and Shannon Briggs. It makes sense because Shannon Briggs has been, doing that. What's up, champ? Or what does he do? The champ call out that he's been doing for a lot of years. So he's been kind of trying to stay relative and whatnot. But why don't they just box? But I guess they can bare knuckle box. I guess that'll be even more entertainment for everybody. But and now also is it just kind of promoting something right now too? You never know. Hitting the hand pads and getting in shape, or and actually, Mike Tyson is a legend, and Mike Tyson used to train as hard, if not harder, than most people in the sport and in the game. So he knows what it takes, and he knows what he needs to do to get ready for a fight. So once that starts, that's when you're gonna, that's where he's gonna find out if it's something he wants to do again. And Shannon Briggs as well, and maybe they think if they go the bare knuckle route that it'll be less pressure. I don't know. I don't know what the idea is behind that, but everybody would love to see Mike Tyson fight, no matter how old he is.
Definitely, man. And when do you think of boxing? Just mentioned boxing. Will follow the UFC and have empty venue fights. You think they're also watching tonight as well? Even though Bob Arum hates MMA and some other promoters, they don't like it. But you think they're paying attention to it?
They always are paying attention. Believe me. Like And now they are. Back then they didn't, because I understand what, like, coming from the box, when I was a boxer, people, it was hard for them to, it's hard for the boxing community to respect MMA. It really is, because they don't get it. It's like a Olympic wrestler watching MMA. They're like, fucking these idiots. I'd take this guy down at the drop of a dime. It's like, we get it. We understand if you guys are just wrestling. Like, it took, even for me as crossing over to MMA as for coaching purposes, the dynamics is hard. You got to understand these athletes in MMA have figured out how to, nullify the games of other sports, of wrestling, of jiu-jitsu, of, jiu-jitsu guys, every purist, from a kickboxer to a boxer to a wrestler to a, Muay Thai to fucking, jiu-jitsu, whatever, they all kind of want to look at it sideways a little bit when they're 100% about their sport. If you're 100% about jiu-jitsu and you're Jiu-Jitsu Geek 101, and it's all you got jiu-jitsu magazines, you got BJJ, you're like, fuck these guys. They think to themselves, okay, this guy will tap anybody out.
Right.
A guy like Marcus Busesha, who's one of, if not the best jiu-jitsu guy in the world today, who's a personal friend of mine, he's a guy that understands MMA. He's been around and trained with a lot of MMA guys, so he's not going to go out there and talk shit about MMA. You look at Bob Arum doesn't make a dime on MMA, and he's probably never going to make a dime on MMA.
Yeah.
So he's going to sit there and badmouth it as much as these guys aren't real athletes. These guys are real fucking athletes. They really are. Do they have the reflexes and the punching leverage and all this stuff that boxers have? No, they don't. Not in the world of boxing, but in the world of fighting, they do. And as far as setting up a takedown on a boxer that doesn't know how to defend a shot, or doesn't know how to defend a kick, or doesn't do that, boxers, God bless them. That's my fucking love. That's my freaking love to the death is boxing. I was a professional boxer myself, and I used to look at MMA guys. Matter of fact, I used to smack the fuck out of MMA guys 20 years ago. I would box 3 or 4 MMA guys' ears off fucking in a day. You know what I mean? But all we were doing was boxing. You know what I mean? And I didn't get it. And I was ignorant to the point that I was ignorant myself at that point. I was like, fucking Jesus, these fucking guys. Why is anybody paying attention to these fucking guys? And over the course of time and training these high level athletes and being around it and whatnot, you learn it's like, sure. Yeah, sure. Fucking, they can't touch you. They can't touch you with a jab, let alone any other punch. But if they set up and get a hold of if they just get a hold of your fucking ankle for 1 second, your knee, they get you in a clinch and they ride you to the ground, you're going to be in a fucking different world. You're going to be a fish out of water. You know what I mean? And you got to respect it. And that's something that guys like Bob Arum, are never going to understand. It's kind of trying to teach a dog an old dog a new trick. It's like, hey, bud, this is a different animal, and the animal of MMA as well. And boxing's my fucking first love, and it's the love of, it's what I love. But the thing about and that's why I even support it by saying this. The thing about boxing is not everybody can box. Not everybody. You got to have a few tangibles in your arsenal in order even to do it. Not every a good portion of MMA guys cannot just be a purist, a pure boxer.
Right.
A lot of them. More. I would say most of them. Yeah, well, not most of them, but a lot. Yeah, I mean a good portion. But that's a beautiful thing about MMA. MMA is a sport that not anybody can do, but there's a lot more people can be an MMA fighter because you have so many other avenues to think about. That's why I always say, why is it so popular and why is it taking over boxing? It's not that it's taking over boxing. It's a different identity. It's a different sport. It's a different world. But why is it so popular nowadays is because the average Joe Blow, the sports fan that sit on the couch and watch fights and watch entertainment, watch athletics and whatnot, they can identify with, what? When I used to box in my backyard with my buddies, everybody would kick my ass. But when I wrestled them, I'd fucking kill them. You know what I mean? So they can put themselves in the idea that, okay, I might not be able to do this, but I can kick really good, or I can punt, I can do this. I I'm really strong and I can fucking throw guys around, so they can kind of identify with it a little bit more, and that helps them become more of a part of it and become more of a fan of it. Am I making sense with what I'm talking about here?
You are, man. You know what? I envision it like a role-playing game.
Yeah.
It's like
watching
an
movie.
RPG. You have different skill sets. You have to branch out. You have to start at a certain skill set.
Sure. Exactly. Yeah, and you can identify with it. A guy wants to sit there. The most diehard basketball fan played a little basketball or like to fucking play pickup games or whatever, football, baseball, hockey, whatever. It's nice to be able to kind of visualize and daydream and kind of wonder what it'd be like if you did it yourself. You know what I mean? So, it is what it is, but boxing is a very difficult sport to do in itself. And I think a lot more people can identify with being able to do other aspects of fighting than just punching. So I think that's what makes it so popular.
Yeah, I agree as well. And when Brock Lesnar came through, you had pro wrestling audience that started loving it as well.
Sure,
we could get enough.
Well, you get a lot of people. I mean, you look at the corporation that bought into the UFC, obviously, or there's a lot of entertainers as part of that. There's a lot of wide range of people that watch MMA and like and appreciate it. I still think boxing is very much alive. I think boxing is going to continue to stay alive, and I think boxing is a special sport. It's just a different sport. So, and I think promoters like Bob Arum and whatnot. I think they heard it by going against the grain. And look, Dana White always supports boxing. He's a boxing fan. He's a boxing enthusiast. He when you got big fights with Canelo Alvarez or Tyson Fury and Wilder, he's talking about them. The MMA media is talking about it. You're not going to see boxing shuts themselves off by not opening their arms to it. You know what I mean? And I told a good boxing friend of mine many years ago. When everybody talked really negatively about boxing, he's like, man, how can you get involved in that shit? Don't you laugh at it? I go, no, I mean, you gotta be open to it, man. You gotta realize that it's something that's sticking around, and it's something that people really like, and it's something that everybody can benefit from, and the world of boxing can benefit from it as well. You saw that with Mayweather and McGregor, but it's okay. Let it go. Let it happen. Bob Arum, you're going to get a lot more positive attention in your direction if you do kind of open your arms a little bit more to it and just be, and be okay with it and cross promote with it. And, like I said, Dana White loves fucking boxing. If the boxing community didn't sit there and try to talk shit on him, he would help, putting love into boxing. You know what I mean? So it's like, sometimes you gotta do deals with each other, and pat each other on the back and fucking support one another, and I think promoters in boxing can learn. The smaller time promoters like the Roy Engelbrook's down here in Orange County, which is a very small time promoter, but the man's been promoting for fucking 30 years. There's a lot of shows like that, small shows, regional shows that do a lot of cross promoting. They have half boxing and half MMA shows. And God bless them. I think that's the right thing to do, because you're not shutting the idea out of MMA. You realize what it's doing, but you also want to keep boxing going as well. And I think there's a lot of MMA fighters and fans that love boxing as well. It's just you don't need to make it a competition. You don't need to hate on it. You gotta just embrace it a little bit more.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. And I believe that, boxing's never going to go anywhere. They're just totally different combat sports that should be respected in their own domains,
Yeah, the people that you got to really feel bad for is the kickboxers, the jiu-jitsu guys, and the wrestlers, because these motherfuckers aren't making any money.
I know. That's crazy.
I mean, it's the truth. And unfortunately, maybe it's just it's the attraction of the sport. Obviously, they've all been around forever, so it's not like it's those are new sports or whatever. But again, the fighters that I know that are competing in Thai boxing and and the wrestlers and the jiu-jitsu guys I know, I'm always very sympathetic as far as, the money they've been able to generate. It's just it's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I've been to the Glory events. I've covered them for the Fightlete Report, and totally different than Bellator that I've covered in other events. You know what I mean? There's more fans at regional MMA than there are at Glory events, and they're doing a big venue, and there's hardly even any media there. And I had
a trip,
but it gave me more access to the fighters. So.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Right. That's a good place for a fucking good journalist to start, I think, is on some of those shows, because you can go in there and, in some of the athletes, some of the kickboxers, you're going to see them end up crossing over to MMA or whatever to make some money.
Yeah.
You've already built a relationship with them as well. So, it's not a bad move. But, yeah, like you said, there's regional boxing shows or regional MMA shows that have a lot more media attention and a lot more fans and fighters getting paid, more money than they are in major kickboxing events like a Glory or whatnot. So, it is what it is, and then you look at, I think the people that get beat up the worst financially is the wrestlers. Wrestlers aren't making any money. Jiu-jitsu can generate some money. You got the Abu Dhabis and you got stuff like that, but you definitely got to be an elitist. You got to be an elite, practitioner or whatever you want to call it of the sport to generate any money. But that's pretty much with everything as well, though. Boxing, boxers, you're not making shit, until you're up at the top of the echelon. And you better draw some people in order to make any money as well, because there's world champions out there that don't make much money at all, So it is what it is.
And then we want to hear your thoughts about Michael Bisping. I know you were at the UFC Hall of Fame last year, right? You were there in person?
Yeah, I actually inducted Michael into the Hall of Fame. Me and his wife did. Yeah.
Yeah, you and his wife got to induct him. So talk about that. How proud of a moment that was for you.
Oh, fuck. Well, it's going to be one of the proudest moments of my life. You know what I mean? As far as, my career is concerned, I have worked with a couple of athletes that have been inducted to the Hall of Fame, but this was my relationship with Michael was definitely special. We got really close, and just him asking me to induct him as well, speaks volume of the connection that me and him have had and that we do have. But Michael's a special athlete to me, mostly because of obviously the experience and the ups and downs that we've experienced together, and and obviously winning the world title, and and him getting inducted to the Hall of Fame and all that, but also just the type of integrity and character that Michael has always been it definitely stands out in my mind, because I had the same type of connection I have with my coach. Me and Michael obviously a little closer in age, but I'm always going to credit my coach, and I'm always going to, acknowledge the stuff that he's helped me develop, and just the mental aspect that he's helped teach me in a sense, and Michael has always been a kind character to do that. Again, having me induct him, he speaks volumes, and just stuff that he's said in interviews as well has always just really, it's touched my heart. You know what I mean? He's the type of guy. As a coach, I didn't get into coaching to be famous or to have people know who I am as a coach or be one of the best in the world. Or I didn't get it. I got into this because I was a fighter. I lost some eyesight, and I lost the ability to fight, and I didn't put in the energy that I probably should have. There's a lot of reasons why you end up stop fighting, but I knew what it was like to have fighting the most important thing in my life, and being the most important thing in the world. So I kind of understood the way fighters think, and I saw something. I saw that in Michael Bisping. I saw how important it was, and I knew that this was the love of his life. Like I had said earlier in this interview about something being the love of your life, and I wanted to help him. I want to help develop him. I want to help him get to where he wanted to go, to the highest level. And he's given me great credit for helping him get there. And that's pretty much second to none. Do I want to continue to feed my family? Do you have to make money? Of course you do. But as a coach, getting that acknowledgement and I think Michael's been the athlete in my life that's probably patted me on the back more than anybody that I've come across.
Oh, that's great, man. Yeah, he has a new book out as well. I'm sure you're aware of.
Yeah, I'm waiting for my copy still.
Yeah.
I was gonna go buy. He said he's got one. He's gonna maybe jot a few words down, and I'll wait for that one. But yeah,
Okay.
I probably know most of the book that it's talking about. But I'm definitely working on getting my copy.
Okay, that sounds good. And the last question, I lose your thoughts on Cyborg winning the Bellator Women's Featherweight title. I know she's since training with you, she's now training with her team in South Africa. And what were your thoughts about her? Carving her own path, going to Bellator, leaving the situation that she wasn't happy with at UFC, and obviously UFC wasn't happy with her, and getting the title in Bellator.
Yeah, well, I knew I first of all, as far as you're going to tell Bellator, I could have told you that was going to happen like Tuesday comes out to Monday. That was no shock to me. She should just go in there and roll through. She rolls through 99.9% of the girls out there regardless. It's the Amanda Nunes that is her big fight, and that's a fight that. I did have a small conversation with her before she made her final decision to leave the UFC and cross over to Bellator. And my recommendation to her, and I told her via messaging, that as a coach, I can't not at least say what my opinion is. I'm not a guy that's, I got to speak my mind and speak my truth. And that's how I'm going to get, I'm worthless to anybody if you're not going to, if you're going to pay me to do something, it's going to, to tell you some stuff and tell you my opinion and my thoughts on things. And I think that, really for her future, I just think that she would have, I think it was very important that she came around and worked on getting a rematch with Amanda. I think that's the biggest fight for her. I think that was, I think that's the fight that I wanted mostly for. There's no other fights that intrigue me or interest me with Cris. I've been with her for many years and, went through a lot of ups and downs with her. And, we spent a lot of years working on we spent years trying to get her into the UFC, me and her old management, George Prazian. And we spent years. We finally got there. We spent a short amount of time there, a couple of years or whatever it was. And it was, she wasn't happy there, and I understand that. But for me, it's not about getting along with your boss and getting along with the company and getting along with the promoter. Like that's all second. That's all. If that happens, then God bless. I've been doing this. I've been as a coach. I'm just speaking a coach. It's not a manager, but I've been working fights and, world title fights all the way since 2008. You know what I mean? For a lot of years, and I never sat down and had dinner with fucking any of the higher echelons of the UFC. Right. Do I know them all? Have I come across them all? Yes. But it's like, that's not what we're there for. We're not there to be chummy. We're not there to be friends. And we're not there to be, this and that. We do that at home. We got our own lives. We got our own family. We got our own friends. That's separate from our business life. What's most important in our business life is capitalizing, getting the most money and getting the most notoriety and being the best of all time. And that's what I think Cris has the ability to do. I think crossing over to Bellator lessens that ability, and it makes that ability maybe not, it makes it hard to chase, because you still can argue that she's still the best of all time. But you got Amanda Nunes. You got Amanda Nunes that put her out. And that's a fight that I know she can win. And that's a fight that I wanted to see her chase. And I wanted her to stick around. It wouldn't have hurt anybody to stick around for another year and try to make that fight. And as far as lucrative speaking, as far as making money, I think one fight with Amanda Nunes is a handful of fights, if not more, fights in different organization. But it's neither here nor there. I'm speaking my mind very freely right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't watch any of my interviews, so I don't know where this interview is and in the level of the interview that it is as well. But I'll tell you this: I don't know how not to speak my mind, and I love Cris. She became a very good friend of mine, and I'll continue to care about her for the rest of my life. I just really, really wish that her choice was to stay, in the organization, the UFC, so she can campaign to fight Amanda Nunes again. And that's never going to happen now. You know what I mean? But it is what maybe it will, but age appropriate, age wise, and where we're at, she's still, in close to her prime of her career and stuff like that. It's what I wanted to see, and as a coach, it was a challenge that we had, and I didn't see, even looking at like Julia Budd, I didn't see a challenge there. Did she get her out of there like she should have? Yes. Do I think she should have done it in a more? I think yeah. I just think that the ultimate fight with Cris would have been Amanda Nunes.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely respect your opinion, and I was actually surprised she was mentioning names like Cindy Danwa and some of those other names like defining UFC. I mean, I couldn't believe that.
Well, she has other people around her. Since her last match was like over the. I'd say even, somewhere roughly around after the Holly Holmes fight, a lot of stuff started getting really changed up. She's got, your environment in athletics and in fighting is a big part of, what's going on with your career and with your life, you're calling out depending on who you're hanging out and the advice you're being given is the way you're coming off. You know what I mean? If you're around the right people and you're getting the right advice, and it definitely changes things around. Like you said, Cindy. What's her name? Cindy who? Like, why are you calling her out? What does that even mean? That doesn't make sense to me. That's not the Cris Cyborg I know. That's not. That's not the Cris Cyborg I started with. Cris Cyborg I started with was fucking driving down from San Diego, sleeping in her car in the parking lot so we could train in the morning. You know what I mean? And fucking, spend it like she's a savage. She's a fucking bad motherfucker. You know what I mean? That's the Cris Cyborg I know. That's the Cris Cyborg that I loved, and that's the Cris Cyborg that I really fucking that I would put a lot of my energy in, no matter how it's not the most lucrative world in the world. I'm not gonna retire because of Cris Cyborg. You know what I mean? I'm not getting rich off Cris Cyborg. Right. You know what I mean? But I loved her fucking ability. I loved her passion. I loved her heart. You know what I mean? And seeing, her being advised to go to the point of calling out girls like Cindy or whoever this chick is, and want, preferring to get along preferring to have dinner with the promoter than fucking button heads with the promoter. Who gives a fuck about the promoter? We knew when we were going to the UFC, we knew we were already not liked. We knew that going in. We already knew we went in there to fucking do shit. We went in there to take over. We went in there to fucking say, fuck it. We're going against the grain. And that's what makes winning the best, is when you're going against the grain. When you're going in and you're the underdog. The promoter doesn't want you. You're not, don't have the fame that you should have, because she should have had a lot more fame than she did. You know what I mean? And that's what you go into, that as a coach and as a team, you go in and you defeat those odds. That's when you're fucking doing something. You know what I mean? You're not doing something when you're sitting back going, oh, fucking, shying away from the real task at hand, from the real money makers, the realness that's going to fucking take you to the level that you should be at. Because she should be the best woman fighter in the world. And in my opinion, she still had the ability to do that. And it's not like she doesn't still today. Does she have 4 different titles and 4 different promotions? Yes. Good, awesome. But again, it's not about it's not about that with me. It's about what's most important. And I have a little bit more visionary. I look ahead a little bit more. I have more experience than the people that she's around now, as well as far as being in the fight game. I do. I have more experience than all of them. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's a pretty frustrating thing.
definitely. Well, I appreciate you, being candid and honest with us, about your points. They're definitely well taken. Why Cyborg should have taken the rematch with Nunes, and we appreciate that.
Yeah, well, I mean, enough is enough. You sit in quarantine long enough. I'll tell you this: that's the best time to interview somebody when they're in fucking quarantine long enough, because they don't give a fuck. They're like, fuck you. You know what I mean? Like, hey, and look, I'm not talking any negative about Cris Cyborg, and there's not one negative thing that I have said. I said nothing but truths right now. I said truths from an experienced man that's been around the block in this sport. He's been around the block in the fight world. You know what I mean? I've been around the block and back again. So at the end of the day, I'm speaking very true words. And for her or anybody around her not to agree with me, that's their ignorance.
Well, Jason, I appreciate you again giving us your time here on the Fightlete Report. We always love having you on the show. And so anybody that wants to follow you on social media, go ahead. Anything you want to plug, go ahead.
I'm all good, man.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, brother. Take it easy.
All right. Take it easy. Yeah. Very much looking forward to it. And, sorry to hear about your mother as well.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, man. Really, thank you so much.
I lost my mother in almost similar circumstances, so I can definitely.
You get it. It's not a fun fucking thing. Yeah, I appreciate it. All right, Shawnee.
Appreciate it.
All right,
Take
man.
care.
Have a great day.
You too. Enjoy the fight.
Cheers.